Good evening and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines. Who would do such a thing? A seriously ill pensioner's savings are stolen on his final family holiday.
I'm a little bit upset because I've been saving it in my pension some time.
Fighting flu. Is your child getting the vaccine? The winter campaign to make sure young and old are protected.
A not so happy reunion. Saints' former boss puts an end to their winning ways.
And do you love a good crime drama? After Lewis, Morse and Dever meet a man of the cloth who is turning detective. Good evening. He'd saved and saved to take his family on a final holiday. But for Roy Andrews, things went horribly wrong when £1,000 went missing, presumably stolen.
Now, the 88-year-old suffers from dementia and had wanted to pay for everything while they were away to say thank you to his family for taking care of him.
But at some point during a trip out to the shops, his wallet was either taken from or fell from his wheelchair and picked up by a passerby.
Well, Roy's family are now pleading for help to trace the missing money. Richard Lawrence has been talking to them.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
At 88 and suffering from vascular dementia, as a thank you to the care his family have given him over the years, Roy Andrews was determined to treat his relatives to a holiday on the coastline he's visited for over 60 years.
I'm a little bit upset because I've been saving it in my pension some time to bring these people away. To give them a thank you means everything because they've been so damn good to the pair of us. My wife and I, we still live in our own house. I mean, it's wasn't for them two, we couldn't be there. It's my own fault. I wasn't careful enough with it, I know that.
His daughter-in-law, Kerry Wills, who cooks his meals daily, had no idea he was carrying such a large amount of money when he bought the family some pasties at a cafe in Bridport. At some point, either in the cafe or heading back to the car, the wallet was either taken from or fell from his wheelchair and picked up by a passerby.
As soon as he got to the car, he said, my wallet. So my partner ran off to check, and then I checked him, checked his pockets and everything, just to make sure it hadn't slipped in his shirt or down his trouser leg, but no, it had gone. So, and it was such a short space of time, so it was picked up quite quickly.
Of course, for whoever picked up the wallet, it was a great find, £1,000 in a wallet. But what the family really want is for whoever picked it up to realise just how much that sum of money meant to its owner. People in the town would love someone to hand it in too.
It's like thieves, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You pick it up, you think a lot of money like that, you hand it in to the police, whatever happens.
We just handed a wallet in to somebody. They dropped it in the car this morning, so we just had to drive around trying to find out where they've gone to and handed it in to him.
Roy's family is appealing to the conscience of who may have the money to hand in whatever's left, while they're determined not to let the incident spoil what's left of their break in Dorset. Richard Lawrence, ITV News, Ypres.
Well, there were major problems for some of the region's commuters this morning due to signalling equipment being damaged during overnight engineering works. Many services into London were cancelled, leaving passengers using the Reading to Paddington line stranded. Some said it took them 5 hours to get to work. Well, for the very latest on the trains and that disruption, do keep an eye on our website throughout the evening on your smartphone or device. Scan this code to be taken straight there, or on your computer, simply search for ITV News Meridian.
Police investigating a fatal assault in Alton have charged a man and a woman with robbery. 32-year-old Adam Cadman was found seriously injured last Tuesday and died in hospital the following day. It's believed he'd been assaulted at a flat in Anstey Road. A 30-year-old man arrested on suspicion of murder remains in police custody.
Well, Liberal Democrats from here in the south have made that long journey to Glasgow for their party conference.
The general election is only 7 months away and their leader, Nick Clegg, has told them that they face the fight of their lives. Phil Hornby reports on how they're preparing for the battle ahead.
And I look forward to May the 9th when we can congratulate ourselves on a job well done. Thank you.
These are the men and women who'll be fighting the next election for the Lib Dems in our region. looking remarkably happy when you think just how badly their party's struggling in the opinion polls.
Why are you all so cheerful?
Well, it's better to be cheerful than miserable, isn't it?
It's cheerful that keeps you going.
Yeah. You've got to be positive, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this.
I think we're all in a pretty good mood, actually. It's
Why? I don't understand why.
Well, you know, lots of reasons. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of realism. There's a lot of creativity.
We know we've got a fight on our hands, but I think the general mood is, do you know what? We are always the underdog, so nothing has changed.
There have been some attempts at Lib Dem rabble-rousing this week.
Get realistic about this. Don't give me this.
But very often, there's not much of a rabble in the hall anyway. This doesn't feel like the conference of a party about to make sweeping gains at the general election. But even if they lose seats, they know there's a real chance of holding the balance of power again and being in government again for another 5 years.
We've got a dismal choice in British politics now. You've got a Labour Party basically saying they can't even bring themselves to talk about the deficit. You've got a Conservative Party saying we're actually going to hit a lot of the working age poor to balance the books. And we are saying, look, you don't need to have this choice between a broken economy and a broken society, between Labour and the Conservatives. We've got to do things, we've got to do both things, a strong economy and a fair society. That's the only way to give people opportunity in life.
The Lib Dems will do well to hang on to the 2 seats they have in our region in Mid Dorset and North Poole and Eastleigh, where UKIP are snapping at their heels.
UKIP might win, Conservatives might win. I think it's pretty obvious that Labour won't win. So obviously can't assume I'm going to win at all. I've got to fight like hell. But Eastleigh people know Liberal Democrats deliver.
And if any Lib Dems from the south want to stock up on party souvenirs to help them in the campaign to come, I can deliver some good news. In a desperate attempt to drum up business, all these things, even Nick Clegg mugs, are now half price. Don't all rush at once. Phil Hornby, ITV News, Glasgow.
He's helped tackle some of the most dangerous incidents to hit Hampshire over the past 50 years. And now, having made history, he's being honoured.
Absolutely. Martin Long is the first person to reach 50 years service for Hampshire Fire and Rescue. From Winchester Guildhall going up in flames to the Great Storm, he's been there on hand to help others. Andrew Pate went along to meet him.
For half a century, he's been at the forefront of fighting fires in Hampshire.
I remember my first big fire, which was the Guildhall at Winchester, where the roof collapsed on a group of us. And we had to get out quickly, and that was my first lesson. And you always learn from every fire you go to.
He was the first on board the mobile petrol tanker, which was in danger of exploding, moored alongside Fawley Oil Refinery. He had to act quickly to prevent a catastrophe.
When I got on board, I met the captain and he said, we're going to have to abandon ship. And so we did. And we got to the bottom of the gangway and I said to him, we can't just leave this. If it explodes, it's going to take out half the refinery with it. So we all went back on board and formulated a plan to actually deal with it. We used high expansion foam to cover the crude oil in the engine room so it wouldn't ignite.
Martin also carried out a 35-hour shift during the Great Storm of 1987.
We dealt with it, we dealt with dangerous structures, we dealt with helping people get out of their houses which had been damaged. People phone the fire and rescue service for help. They may not get an answer from their local council, they may not get an answer from other authorities at that time of the morning, so they ring 999.
After 38 years as a firefighter, based in Farnborough, Basingstoke and the New Forest, he spent the last 12 as an emergency planner, helping coordinate different agencies during times of crisis, such as the flooding earlier this year. He says the fire service has changed over the 50 years, much of it for the better.
The equipment now, from the equipment that I started off using, which is almost wartime equipment, some of which, believe it or not, is still used to this day because it's nothing better than some of the stuff they used in the war. But mostly it's changed enormously. We put more resources now into fires than we ever did when I first joined.
50 years and counting, and still learning from every incident. Andrew Pate, ITV News, Eastleigh.
Congratulations to Martin.
Absolutely.
You're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Coming up, the weather with Simon and the sport with Sarah. Plus...
It's a thriller, but would you be too scared to join this Zumba class? I know I would.
They don't look that frightening. For all of our stories, you can head to our website, itv.com/news/Meridian. If you have any views or news about the programme, why not give us a call on this number? It is 0808 1010 095. That's 0808 1010 095, or get in touch via Facebook or Twitter.
Parents of young children across our region are being urged to get them vaccinated against flu. This year, all 2 to 4-year-olds are being offered a nasal spray to protect them against the virus.
Flu is a potentially serious illness and in extreme cases can even kill. But only around half of those most at risk take up the vaccinations. Malcolm Shaw has our report.
It's quick, it's painless, and it could save your life. Children most at risk of catching flu can now get the vaccine as a nasal spray. This year, for the first time, doctors' surgeries across our region are offering the spray to all 2 to 4-year-olds, along with older children at particular risk.
If they have asthma or respiratory illness or cystic fibrosis or something like that, then they're very vulnerable. So it's a particularly good idea for those children, and now that we have this, so it's not an injection, hopefully that will increase the uptake, which has been quite poor so far.
As winter looms, the season of coughs, colds and worse will soon be upon us. Flu is potentially a serious illness, even fatal. Those most susceptible include the elderly, pregnant women and those with long-term illnesses. In 2013, almost 100 people died from flu. Despite the fact that a flu vaccination can save your life, take-up rates are still low. Last year, only around half of the patients most at risk got themselves protected. As a child, Bridget Dubois caught flu frequently. Now 72, she always has a jab to protect both herself and the residents at the sheltered housing scheme where she works. Bridget says no one should underestimate how serious an illness influenza can be.
The very worst I felt, I just wanted to die, to be honest. I was in bed for about 10 days. Every single muscle felt as if there was no strength in it at all. It had collapsed. Every bone in my body hurt. I was dripping with sweat. My hair was sticking to me. And the next minute I'd feel icy cold and just be shivering.
In medical jargon, children are referred to as super spreaders because they pass flu on so easily. The nasal spray is part of a long-term plan to vaccinate all children from 2 to 16. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News.
Now, she was found abandoned and cold after her mother rejected her. This is Nimbus, the endangered clouded leopard cub who was born at Cotswold Wildlife Park in Oxfordshire. Keepers decided to hand rear her so she had the best chance of survival. She will eventually move into her new home, an enclosure adjoining the park's clouded leopard adults.
She's being hand-reared very successfully so far. She's gradually getting used to life as being a leopard. And when she's older, she should hopefully, and we're very confident, she can be paired up with an unrelated male and go on to be a very important part of the European stud book.
Oh, she's beautiful.
She is indeed, and in the stud book. The ITV News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. With more now, here's Alistair Stewart.
The trial begins of Shriyan Dawani, accused of hiring a hitman to murder his new bride. He pleads not guilty and tells the court, "I'm controlling, intense and bisexual, but I didn't kill my wife." The latest live from Cape Town. The brave example of TV star Michaela Strachan, how a routine screening for breast cancer resulted in a double mastectomy. And a host of stars and proud families gather for the Pride of Britain, a special posthumous award for Stephen Sutton, who raised millions. Join Mary Nightingale and me at 6:30.
Yes, we will indeed, and more on the Pride of Britain as we report from the red carpet later in this programme. Now, we've all enjoyed Morse, Lewis, Endeavour, detectives solving crimes among the dreaming spires of Oxford. Now, though, there's a new detective on the scene, and he happens to be a vicar.
ITV's new drama Grantchester premieres tonight. The 6-part series sees James Norton and Robson Green play a vicar turned sleuth and a police officer. Claire McGlasson has more.
Dickens!
Plenty of clues and plenty to keep the neighbourhood watch busy. This summer, Grantchester was plunged into the centre of a mysterious plot. And tonight, the villagers will finally see the story unravel. The buildings and the locals, stars of the new ITV drama Grantchester.
So inconsiderate. I won't have it.
They've got a point. A man who takes his own life is going straight to hell.
Murder? Yes, Inspector.
James Norton plays Sidney Chambers, a clergyman turned sleuth who teams up with local detective Geordie to solve mysteries of morality, while he faces a few of his own.
I've got 2 ongoing fraud investigations. He's a very normal young man in the early 1950s with the same conflicts and the same, temptations and pushes and pulls as any young man.
Lucky he's got Tessa Peake-Jones to keep him on the straight and narrow.
I play the housekeeper of the vicarage, Mrs. Maguire, who's described in the breakdown as religious and aggressive. So I think she likes to keep an eye on him, but at the same time they've got this rather nice banter.
What the dickens? You know who I blame? Sidney Beckett.
It's Bechet. Mrs. Maguire, Bechet.
So he rolls his eyes a lot but loves it really? Yes, exactly that, yes. He sort of asks for it like a little boy and then gets cross when he gets told off.
143, take 3, camera.
The real Grantchester was the obvious choice for filming. Villagers' homes temporarily transformed into scenes of crime, but some needed a makeover to be transported back in time. Wisteria, all plastic, springing up overnight. And the double glazing needed some window dressing. Well, of course, the drama is set in the 1950s and every detail has to be just right. Here in the costume truck, there's a rack of clothes for every one of the actors, and most of the clothes are original vintage pieces from the 1950s. But in some cases, they need more than one version of each outfit. So this one, for instance, is for the character of Amanda, one for the actress, and another, exactly the same, for her stunt double.
This is very close to really when the war finished. And things like home perms came in, much shorter hair actually than people remember, lots of little pixie cuts and things like that, and really sort of off the shoulder.
But appearances can be deceptive.
On the surface, it's very comfortable, it's very tranquil, very charming, very nice, but there are definite dark undertones. And initially, my character doesn't like the fact that Sidney is imposing himself on my cases.
Which leads you to conclude that he was murdered, Inspector. Because it wasn't the right whiskey. Because it wasn't the right whiskey.
And I tell him in no uncertain terms to go back to church and pray for the wicked. But as the story develops, I realise that I can use him during the cases because people feel they can talk to Sidney. And Geordie feels that people can't talk to him.
Someone guaranteed to be watching is Pat Hall, villager and extra.
The crew and the directors, or whoever they are, bring us into it and make us feel that we are really part of it. And that's really felt good.
We don't really know how the series is panning out yet because they're doing it in segments. So we hope everybody will tune in and watch it and we'll get some good feedback.
The producers have kept the various plots under wraps. Over 6 episodes, the villagers will finally find out who done it. But the question that's really keeping them on the edge of their seats, will they be in the frame? And in the final cut. Claire McGlasson, ITV News, Grantchester.
Looks really good, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
And you can see the first part of Grantchester tonight on ITV, of course, at 9 p.m.
Now, though, it's time for the sport. Here's Sarah Gom, and she's starting with the Saints. Sarah.
Yes, thank you very much, Sangeeta. Southampton's first meeting with former boss Mauricio Pochettino didn't end as they'd hoped yesterday, as Saints lost by a 0-0 at White Hart Lane. They do, though, remain within touching distance of the top of the table and are still 2 points ahead of yesterday's opponents.
ITV Meridian Sport Report, sponsored by WeWantAnyCar.com, the Cash for Cars website.
Christian Eriksen's first-half strike and eventual winner for Spurs against Saints at White Hart Lane is only the 5th goal they've conceded this season. The deficit was almost doubled. Southampton have the post to thank for keeping that one out, and Sadio Mane came closest to drawing level. Bournemouth moved up to 11th with 3 points at Bolton, despite going down to 10 men before the break when Jan Kermorgant was dismissed. Callum Wilson fired home his 6th goal of the season. Minutes later, though, Jay Spearing levelled for the hosts. Wilson's second, though, capped what manager Eddie Howe described as an outstanding performance. Brighton remain in 19th place after this 1-1 draw at 2nd place Watford. The Seagulls missed early opportunities to go ahead, and it was the hosts who took the lead after the break through Daniel Tozar's 25-yard free kick. Brighton boss Sami Hyypiä responded with the introduction of Kazengalawa, and his corner enabled Lewis Dunk to head home the equaliser and claim a point. Reading's defeat at Brentford saw them drop down to 15th. By half-time, Nigel Adkins' side were 2 down. Simon Cox pulled 1 back, but Brentford's third put the result beyond doubt. On to Leagues 1 and 2 now, where Swindon continue their unbeaten run, taking them up to 2nd, and Oxford's 2nd win of the season lifts them away from the relegation zone. Crawley didn't initially look like they were on course to take anything from their visit to Coventry. John Gregory's side were 2-0 down within 30 minutes. Their response, though, was swift, with 2 goals in 4 minutes, drawing them level to claim a well-earned point. Swindon are in 2nd place after their 6th game unbeaten run continued at Leyton Orient. Sent clear by Massimo Luongo, Michael Smith gave them an early lead before Nathan Burns' second-half shot doubled their advantage. Orient's injury-time goal came too late to halt Swindon's march towards the top of League One. Portsmouth boss Andy Orford said he was happy with a point at York City. Jed Wallace among those who challenged the home keeper but couldn't break the deadlock. Despite going down to 10, Knox cures to lift them out of the relegation zone. Michael Collins' long-range strike was enough to see off Newport, despite the dismissal of Tyrone Barnett following his 2nd yellow. More than 7,000 people took part in Bournemouth's half and full marathons yesterday, and hundreds more took on half marathons at Basingstoke and Blenheim this weekend, all raising hundreds of thousands of pounds for good causes. In ice hockey's English Premier League, the Guildford Flames scored in the sudden death round of penalties to help lift them to a 2-1 win at Basingstoke Bison. Finally, Oxfordshire-based Formula One team Marussia have thanked fans for their support after driver Jules Bianchi was seriously injured at the Japanese Grand Prix. The 25-year-old's car hit this recovery vehicle, brought in to deal with an earlier accident, causing the Frenchman to suffer a severe head injury. And the team, who are based in Banbury, have asked for patience and understanding with regard to updates.
We wish him well, of course, Sarah. Thank you very much.
They are heroes, one and all. The men, women and children who do so much for others, and of course their stories always bring a tear to your eye.
Yes, fundraisers, campaigners, members of the military, emergency services and more. All inspirational people are gathering on the red carpet in London for tonight's Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards.
Well, we won't know who's won until a special programme tomorrow, but David Wood has just sent this as nominees gather for a star-studded evening at the Grosvenor House Hotel.
Welcome to the red carpet here at the Grosvenor House Hotel, where final preparations are being made, as you can see behind me. Very soon the celebrities will be walking up the red carpet, waiting to crown the Pride of Britain. And that's what's special about this award ceremony. It's not celebrities patting each other on the back, it's them rewarding the Pride of Britain from across the country. And this year we asked you to nominate people to be Fundraiser of the Year. 17 have been chosen from across the country. And for our part of the Meridian region, Rosie Mitchell from Southampton has been nominated. She's raised more than £1 million to fund extra medical equipment for the Children's Trauma Centre at the General Hospital in Southampton. And she's pretty pleased to be here this evening.
Very, very nervous. Very honoured that I'm here, but very, very nervous about it all. Met some lovely, lovely people, got some lovely people on our table and some fantastic charities out there.
And of course we'll let you know how they get on, but there's pretty tough competition as 17 people from across the UK have been nominated in the Fundraiser of the Year category. And of course if you want to see all of the awards, well, they'll be shown in full tomorrow night at 8 o'clock here on ITV. But very soon they'll be getting underway. They haven't got long to find out who's won. Carol Vorderman will be hosting the show this year in its 15th year. And I think it's fair to say if any previous years are anything to go by, there won't be a dry eye in the house.
David Wood reporting there, and as David said, you can see the Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards and all those wonderful stories tomorrow on ITV starting at 8 p.m. Have your tissues ready. And of course we will wish Rosie all the best. Hope she wins.
Yes, all the best indeed. A group of dancing zombies have been gathering in a field in Sussex in an attempt to set a new world record. Almost 200 dancers attended the event, which aimed to see the largest Zumba class featuring people dressed as zombies. The event was part of Halloween month being celebrated at Tully Farm, near Crawley.
Well, the weather was a bit of a thriller this morning, wasn't it? Oh, more on that. Here's Simon, yeah.
And from the undead to the completely still alive. Is that the same thing? No, I can't think of it. And amazing, being as we're still in October, guess what I'm getting pictures of still?
Sunflowers.
Big ones,
oh,
yeah. No, unbelievable. Look, there's your first one. Look, this is from Sylvia Baker in Waterlooville. Not only shows off her tall sunflower, also reveals the true identity of Spider-Man, her grandson Spencer. This is a joint effort here from Cody and Kiwi in Bognor Regis. Look, tricky to see the top of this one. They've grown an impressive 9-footer.
Gosh.
Brilliant. And Bob Cox has got one that's still growing strong in Southmoor in Oxfordshire. He's measured it at a whopping 12 foot 8 inches. No. But we can beat that with Francis Cottrell in Basingstoke. 13 foot high, 20 heads. Gosh. And here's one from Robert Jones that the team have been growing at HMS Salton in Gosport. 15 foot, and look, armed guard all the time. Quite right too, but surely there can't be any more, can there?
I don't know. There probably can. Any more rain coming? Let's find out. Simon Parkin.
That's us driving on, us driving off in France, and us on the bridge.
Driving to Europe. Eurotunnel Le Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, this is how the day started in Bournemouth, not only grey and wet, but with a very choppy sea as well. Winds gusting at around 40 miles an hour through today, but the rain, thankfully, cleared off eastwards, and it continues on its journey tonight. Behind it, though, we are going to see some showers develop, and watch out, because some of those showers could well be heavy and thundery during the nighttime period. But we've got some clear spells, so it's also going to be fairly cool. Temperatures down to around 6 or 7 degrees, but like I say, it's the showers that will start to develop as we head through the night, and there'll be a few quite tricky ones around first thing tomorrow morning, but things should improve as the day goes on. The showers will become fewer and further between, more in the way of bright or sunny spells, and temperatures tomorrow are not bad, peaking at around 15-16 degrees. Yes, cooler than we've been used to, but about right for the time of year. High tide times, well, you can see in Bournemouth around 8:45 in the morning, then 9 in the evening, and then we stay unsettled for the rest of the week. Wednesday will be another showery day, and it does look as though those showers will merge into a longer spell of rain at some point too.
Eurotunnel Le Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
And that's how things are looking this evening. In just a moment here on ITV, we have the national and international news with Alistair Stewart and Mary Nightingale.
Join me if you can for our late news, but for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the evening. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.